Hi, everybody. My name is Christina Paul. I'm a CIT instructor here at SCC. It's my pleasure to introduce our speaker for today's Lunch and Learn event. Please join me in welcoming Brian Dorn, who serves as the Associate Dean for Academics and Faculty Affairs and Associate Professor of Computer Science at the University of Nebraska-Omaha. Brian brings a wealth of experience in both academic leadership and computer science education. In his dual role at UNO, he not only shapes academic policy and supports faculty development across the college, but also remains actively engaged in teaching and research within the computer science department. His unique perspective bridges the gap between administrative excellence and hands-on technical expertise. Throughout his career, Brian has been committed to advancing computer science education and fostering collaboration between educational institutions. His insights on the evolving landscape of technology education and the pathways between community college and university programs have proven invaluable to students and educators alike. We're thrilled to have him share his expertise with us today. Please give a warm welcome to Dr. Brian Dorn.
Well, thank you for the nice introduction, Christina, and thanks for being here, right? I'm really excited to see this beautiful new space, first of all, but come meet all of you and talk a little bit about what's going on at UNO in the technology education space and how you might take a part in that, right? So the URL for our college is ist.unomaha.edu. So if you're looking for more information about these things, you'll find that on the handouts that are at the table, but also it's at the end of the slides as well. So like Christina mentioned, I serve as the Associate Dean for Academic and Faculty Affairs in the College of Information Science and Technology. So at UNO, we have a separate college for all the technology programs. So you might think about like College of Arts and Sciences, College of Business, right, at traditional universities. Well, IS&T is a separate standalone college at UNO. Yes, sir.
Even College of Fine Arts, College of Engineering.
That's right.
College of Music.
That's right. So we're really excited at UNO. In the state of Nebraska, we are the only technology college at a four-year program that stands alone. So that kind of distinguishes us and helps you think about why our campus feels that this is an important field of study. So let's dive in a little bit. So if you haven't been to UNO before, anyone been up to UNO's campus before? I got a couple hands, right? So maybe if you came in high school or you came, friends or something like that. We are in the middle of town, right? So if you know where Nebraska Furniture Mart is, it's about right here, right? The main part of campus is up here off of Dodge Street, but our building, the Peter Keywood Institute, is south of that, right? We're off Pacific Street. So we are housed near the College of Business and a lot of the residence halls at UNO, right? So we're a little bit further away from that campus that you drive across along Dodge Street and see, but our building is pretty nice, right? It was built about 25 years ago, has a beautiful glass Chihuly sculpture, if you're into art, hanging in the atrium, and you'll see a photo of it there, right? Those of you who've been around a little bit longer may recognize that part of town used to be where the Exarban racetrack was. Now it's this great community of like small businesses and restaurants and all of this fun stuff for students to do. So it's a really great, vibrant part of town to be in. Our college really focuses on career relevant degrees in technology, right? The undergraduate level, master's level, and PhD. We really care about making sure students are ready for the jobs of the future. Our student body this fall, we had just a little bit over 1,200 undergraduate majors in technology degree programs. So we'll talk a little bit about each of those programs in a second, but they're kind of spread out right across 5 different majors. And then we had about 250 graduate students made up of master's students and doctoral students. Now, some of these students are fully online, right? A lot of our programs are available online and you don't have to ever set foot on campus. For example, I teach a class for high school teachers in the summer, and I have teachers from Texas and New Jersey and Wyoming, and their first time to campus is graduation, right? And so I like to meet them at graduation. But a lot of our programs in cybersecurity, management information systems, and computer science are all available at a distance. We'd love to have you on campus, but if you want to be in Lincoln, you can do that too, and it works for your schedules. So I'll kind of walk through each of our degree programs and tell you a little bit about them. Some of these degree programs are things you may have heard of, and some of them are things that you might not have heard of before. So The first one is the Bachelor's of Applied Computing and Informatics. Now, anyone heard of a degree called this before? I got one hand, right? So Wichita State has an applied computing degree. In the state of Nebraska, we are the only applied computing and informatics degree. What I want you to think about is preparing for careers in sort of front-end design or user experience and information studies. These are students who are interdisciplinary. They want to study psychology and how people think and use technology, and how do we build things that work for people. So the careers that we're sort of preparing students for really are in that front-end design, user market research, right? Understanding what are the needs of a user and how do we design technology around that? Because someone's got to help the engineers figure out what the requirements are, right? So these folks are really strong in that background. Yes, sir.
Like, what if they need special needs equipment? What
Absolutely.
if they are adaptive needs? What
Yeah.
if they have dyslexia and need a certain font?
Absolutely. So accessibility and designing for accessibility and for all people is really important, right? If you just design for the quote unquote average user, you might end up with a technology that doesn't work for anybody because no one is average, right? Everybody has unique strengths and weaknesses. And so these folks really think a lot about what are the needs of people and how they work, and how does that inform the design process? Yes.
And to continue on your statement of going for the general public, but if you think ahead and actually innovate and make stuff accessible, you can actually get stuff that actually works for everyone,
Absolutely. And it turns out that
even for the blind.
yep, and companies that do this, right, have better return on investment, right? They have better profits, they have more exciting technology. You think about like, why does everyone love their Apple iPhones, right? It's because Apple spends a lot of time hiring people like this that are really thinking about that in the design process, and they integrate with the engineer. So we're really excited to offer a degree like this here in the state of Nebraska. Now, some companies and places that our students have gone to work, right? Companies like Avature. If you've never heard of Avature, we sent some students off on Job Shadow last fall that were first year students. And I had one come back and she said, I didn't know what a user experience designer was, but I went to Avature and it's the coolest job in the world and I want to do that now. What should I do? Like, great, you discovered that in your first semester. Let's figure out how to customize your degree plan to do that. We also have students who have graduated and started their own startup companies. So Appski is Taylor Karinsky's company, right? He's one of our alums, and he designs special software and housed right in Omaha, Nebraska. So it's a really exciting degree program. And the cool part about it is it's super flexible. So you can bring a lot of transfer credits in, right, from a lot of different areas, and we can get you done in 2 years and allow you to customize that degree plan even further, okay? Yes, sir.
My sister works for Appski.
Oh, really? That's
and
awesome.
She has become very good friend with Taylor Karinsky.
Awesome. Well, then you know all about this, right?
Yeah,
So this is
I
great.
love their approach, like accessibility over everything
Yep.
else.
Yeah. And so this degree, just I'll mention which degrees are in person and which degrees are online, just so we're clear. This one is an in-person only degree. So if you're in that major, yeah, you would be on campus and take classes there. I'll jump forward to our next undergraduate program. So this one is our newest degree program, our Bachelor's of Artificial Intelligence. So this launched in January. You do have handouts for all these degree programs in the folders in front of you. This program, we're really excited. We were the first degree in Nebraska at the bachelor's level in artificial intelligence.
Even
At the time that this launched, there were only 17 bachelor's degrees in the country in AI. So we were really at the forefront of how does this work and how do we make this successful for students? So we were building on a lot of expertise that was already in the field. Now, why is it important to have a separate bachelor's degree in AI? Well, you've probably heard a lot about AI in the last 2 years, right? That's only going to continue, right? Someone has to be thinking about how do we design the technologies that are fueling this AI universe that's happening, right? How do we think about the social and ethical implications of what's happening, right? There's concerns about the amount of energy and CO2 emissions that are coming out of all of the data centers that run these AI large language models. We need really smart people thinking about like, how do we prevent us from going down a pathway of unintended consequences of these tools? And how do we really integrate it and make sure that people are successful in doing this. So I went and polled on Indeed, just some job titles in Nebraska, like mostly in Omaha and Lincoln, of people that are hiring for AI degrees right now. 2 years ago, these job titles did not exist, right? It was really exciting. So AI engineer, automation lead, ethical AI specialist, prompt engineer, these are all the kinds of things you're going to hear. And some of the companies, right, are the companies that are offering these jobs. So these are literally Omaha and Lincoln-based companies that are hiring for these jobs right now. So Farm Credit Services of America, right? Big financial institution, right? Valmont, you've probably heard of Valmont before, right? Agile Defense is a Defense Department contractor that works with the Air Force Base, and KPMG, right, as a marketing firm. So this is just a small sampling of the kinds of companies that are engaged in this space right now. Yes, sir.
AI has gone from a little group of kids to full-grown adults in a time span of like 3 years.
I think that's a really great analogy.
And they now even have their own web browsers.
Yeah, and so I think this is we're going to see an increase in the jobs that are looking for specialized AI skills. Now, again, the nice thing is a lot of the core classes in this degree program that make up the first 2 years if you were a traditional undergraduate at UNO, they're the same classes that we've already aligned with Southeast Community College for some of our other transfer programs. So if you were doing the CIT application developer pathway here, well, in the AAS program, well, that's a great foundation for this because a lot of the courses that you'd be taking already apply in those degree requirements. And then when you get to UNO, you specialize further on AI skills. Okay. Computer science is probably the degree you've all heard of before, right? Not familiar, right? Lincoln's got one. You probably talked about it in high school, maybe. My animations are really strange, but this is an example of the kinds of places that our students have gone recently for internships or jobs in the computer science pathway. So this is by far our largest undergraduate program at UNO in the computing space. We were the first ABET accredited computer science degree program in the state. There are others now, but we were the first. Yeah, this is a program that is available both in person and fully online. So if you wanted to do this degree and not ever come to campus, you can do that, right? There's a way that we can get you graduated and then order your classes in such a way that they're going to be available in the modality that you need, okay? Job titles, probably things you've heard and seen before if you're studying here. Software engineer, application developer, software architect, network architect, mobile app developer, and on and on and on. Companies range from what was a small startup at one time like Huddle or a startup like Don't Panic Labs, all the way up to the Fortune 500s like Gallup and Mutual. In fact, Don't Panic Labs is in my class this week. So one of their executives was hanging out with my students yesterday, and a panel of recent hires is coming in to talk to them about their experience post-graduation starting at Don't Panic Labs tomorrow for class. So we have really close relationships with a lot of these folks. Other companies that you might be surprised about, like Sentinel Fertigation, right? It's an ag tech company, right? That's based here in Nebraska. And so we've had students go do internships at places like that. Lindsay Corporation, right? Anyone heard of Lindsay before?
Never.
Never. I'm seeing some head nod. What does Lindsay do?
Irrigation.
Irrigation, central pivot irrigation in all those fields, right? They're one of the largest central pivot irrigation companies in the world. I had no idea. They're really a technology company, right? They're designing AIs embedded in their irrigation systems so that they can predict based on rainfall and the crops that are in the field that they're irrigating, like what application rate should I use and when should I rev the motor so that I reduce power usage but don't get stuck in the mud, right? Which does not sound super exciting, maybe, but when I talk with them, like their engineers are awesome and they're based in Omaha now, right? Well, they also have facilities in Lindsay, Nebraska, which is where their manufacturing is, but they're headquartered in Omaha and their CIO is one of our executive committee members for the college and on the advisory board. So she's fantastic. So this is the kind of great opportunities in Nebraska that you don't hear a lot about. And they're looking for computer science graduates. They're looking for AI graduates. They're looking for management information systems graduates. So really exciting opportunities.
My brother James is a network architect at Don't Panic Labs, and my brother Ismail works as a software engineer for Link.
Oh, wonderful. So that slide, you got a couple connections there. That's great.
My whole family is into IT,
Sounds that way.
and my mom and my dad were both Navy veterans.
All right.
And this is the stuff that I love.
All right.
Could I possibly help to narrate this one?
Let me go first, and then you can fill in the details at the end, okay?
I would like to try and do the why it matters.
Okay, go ahead.
Why does cybersecurity matter to the world? Places like China, North Korea, and Russia are just sending out a whole buttload of viruses and Trojan horses to everywhere. And we need the top of the line people to just get on their computers and just stop it. And I also read a little bit in here that the entirety, if I can find it. You guys have a 122K average starting salary, and it has increased by 25.3% in demand.
Yeah, and so this is a degree program that is really hot nationwide, but also here specifically. Like as you mentioned, right? There's a lot of threats out there, right? And they're internal and external, and a lot of government actors that companies have to think about. So if you're thinking about companies that care about this, right? You might think about the three-letter agencies, the NSA, the CIA, the FBI, right? And they do hire a lot of our alumni. We, for a long period, had a scholarship for service from the National Science Foundation that when students got that, right, they had to pay it back by working in the public sector, which meant state government, one of those three-letter agencies, et cetera. But it provided full scholarships for cybersecurity majors, which was really great. But beyond that, a lot of other companies need cybersecurity experts, right? If you think about all of the data that's out there, we've got to keep the data safe, right? And make sure that only the people who should have access to it do, and then audit and make sure that our policies are such that, you know, we're not opening ourselves up to risk from a compliance perspective. Hospital systems, right? You may have heard about UNMC being caught by a ransomware attack, right? We need these folks, right? Here in the state and across the country to make sure that that's not happening. So one of the sets of big employers that we have are things like OPPD and NPPD, right? Power companies, right? The power grid is constantly being attacked, right? Because all of these things are online now. And so how do we protect those infrastructure systems? Banks like FNBO, right? Huge bank, lots of risk, right? Insurance companies, finance, right? Really popular here in Nebraska. How do we make sure that those systems are safe? So we have lots and lots of partnerships with a lot of the big companies in the state and around the region to help provide these cybersecurity degrees. We are really proud that our bachelor's program in cybersecurity is one of only 25 nationwide that has the NSA Certificate of Academic Excellence in both cyber defense and cyber operations. So that's really, really rare. We're the only one in Nebraska that has both of those certifications. UNK's program has cyber defense, but not the cyber operations yet, because there's like a high bar for curriculum and what our expectations are to get that level from the National Security Administration. So we are really proud of that, and we have, you know, lots of alumni in these job titles, right? Cybersecurity analyst, reverse engineer, system administrator, secure software development, and on and on. Right? So really popular degree, and this is growing quite rapidly, right? It is probably our fastest growing degree program at the undergraduate level. AI is so new, we haven't had enough years to see the growth yet, but I suspect that that will quickly get there.
So one thing I don't know from those careers is the reverse engineer. What is that?
So in reverse engineering, let's say you're given a piece of software and you don't know how it works and you need to figure it out, right? You dismantle that piece of software, not having access to the source code to understand how it works and where the vulnerabilities are, right? Same thing with hardware, right? You're given this made thing and you're told figure it out, right? So you learn how to take things apart and look inside of them.
Oh,
Now, this program is available both in person and online as well, right? So this is a great option.
nice.
If you're place bound and you don't want to come to Omaha, right, you can do this program as well, okay? The management information systems is the last of our 5 undergraduate degrees that we'll talk about. So think about for MIS, business plus technology. So traditionally the MIS programs might live in a college of business, right? And the students take things like accounting and marketing and finance, right? But really what their specialty is thinking about, well, what is the role of technology in this organization, whether that's a company or a nonprofit or higher ed or any of those kind of sectors, and how do we inform good decision making for the company, right? How do we think about building database infrastructure for the needs of the company? How do we think about supporting the kind of DevOps, right, or the tool chain integration for a team of developers at a software company, right? So I think of them as kind of like infrastructure people who care a lot about the business bottom line as well, right? So in this program, you'll take computing classes, but you'll also take a lot of business classes. So it's a great option if you have kind of dual interests and you want to even maybe pick up a minor in business along the way or something like that. Right? So the kinds of job titles you might hear are a mixture of the business-oriented roles like business analyst, right? But you also see kind of project management stuff. So often these folks, because they take management classes, right, they're pretty good at managing teams of people. So they'll find themselves in roles like a project manager or a scrum master. Has anyone heard of scrum masters before? So this is in agile software development, right? It's a role which is basically the person who helps the team of software developers figure out what they need to do and when, right? If you've got a whole project that you're working on, how do you prioritize tasks and move that forward, right? And so this is a great job title, right? That hires a lot of folks in this role, right? So it's a program that you may or may not have heard of before, but if you look at the companies where they're employing students, a lot of big name places, right? Insurance companies, logistics and transportation like Werner and Union Pacific, right? As well as health systems and things like that. Okay, so pretty much every organization that has software development teams, and almost every organization does, has someone who's responsible for figuring out the requirements and like team management perspective, right? So this is also a great option depending on your interests. Okay, now I've not about our degree programs, but 2 really exciting new things that are happening at UNO that I want to tell you about. The first one is this thing called AI Core. So the AI for artificial intelligence, and the CCORE, right, is a big long acronym, which I don't remember. But here's what AI Core does. It's a new center that was funded by a grant from the Barbara Weitz Foundation. And what they're doing is they're spinning up a trio of activities. The first one is a boot camps and master classes for working professionals. So these are folks that are working in one of those companies and they're like, gosh, I need to learn about AI and how to use it, right? Because they didn't have the advantage of getting a bachelor's degree in AI, right? So we're running short courses and summer programs for those individuals to come learn about it and build customized training for those companies. That might not be super exciting to you as prospective students, but I think it is a useful thing to know about because it fits with the other 2 pieces. Another one is called the Next Gen AI Studio, designed for high school students. And so we brought in a bunch of high school students this last summer, trained them up in AI, and then had them partner with the people in the boot camps to build solutions together. So one of the students actually came from out of state to do the Next Gen AI Studio, and he was really interested in like competitive archery. He's like nationally ranked in competitive archery. So he built like AI feedback systems that can do like computer vision and watch how you're shooting the bow and arrow and give you feedback on that. I know nothing about archery, but it was really cool. He was very excited, right? And that's the great thing about this is it provides students with that flexibility to like explore their passion in AI. The last part I'm most excited about, because this is what would impact you all. We have now this AI Intern Academy on campus, which means if you want to upskill in AI as like the minute you get to campus and you also want to get paid to do it, we have internships available in the building, right? They're hiring for these positions right now for this year. And we expect that this is going to have a nice cohort of students who are learning these AI skills, working with industry professionals, building your resumes. And when you graduate, you're going to be well suited to have those job titles that we talked about before. And you don't have to go anywhere to do the internship. It's on campus. Yes, ma'am.
I can do the, like, studying cybersecurity and do internship on AI.
Yeah. They're interested, and we'll talk about cybersecurity in a second too, because there's more options for that too. The other program that we have is called Matrix, which is the new, so nebraskamatrix.com, right, is a brand new, also a new center that is funded by the same funding that AI Core is. It's doing a lot of the same kinds of things, providing cybersecurity upskilling for industry professionals, providing a cybersecurity operations center. So this room that I'm showing you here is brand new. We literally just got the furniture 3 weeks ago, and the wall decals just went on last week. So it still smells like a new building, much like your building smells, right? And what's exciting about it is, if you saw from this view, right, there are 2 huge displays, right, which are meant to provide live streams of threat activities from company partners that contract with us to do their cybersecurity operations monitoring. And who's doing that monitoring? Our students, right? And those are paid intern positions that we're funding in-house to get you ready, not only to help our clients out, but also make sure that you have those job relevant skills and you have resume bullets that you can talk to. So when you apply to work in a cybersecurity operations center at one of those organizations, you've already done it, right? You know what that looks like. And so we're really excited. They're also doing interviews to hire for these positions right now, because this is brand new, right? Like I said, the room just got finished. Next door to that, we have a brand newly renovated cybersecurity classroom, which is fantastic and is meant to provide really great experiences for the students that are both in the room with us, but also maybe taking the class online. So all of the technology that you need to support that kind of broadcast or simulcast working really well. And we're really happy that we've got a brand new shiny classroom that's doing that kind of stuff. Okay, so I think those are 2 really exciting opportunities that we haven't talked a lot with prospective students about yet, because they're so new, and so you're among the first that are learning about that. Okay, so then I've got a couple more slides and then we'll take questions. So if you are here at Southeast and you're thinking, how do I transfer? This all sounds really great, Dr. Dorn. Like, I'd like to do these things. Well, we have lots of different options. So if you are studying in the Associate of Science Academic Transfer Program, right, we have lots of ability to help you out, pick classes, so that when you come in, it's not just about knocking out your gen eds, which is a phrase I hear a lot at community college. If you did that, that's great. But there's also technology classes that you can benefit from too. So depending on your interests, and I've just picked a couple here, like computer science, cybersecurity, and MIS, right? Our advising team is here to help customize some of those electives that you have within that program, so that you're coming in with as much credit towards those bachelor's degrees as possible. So this is a great option. But if you're in the Associate of Applied Sciences program, so how many of you are in one of those programs, or like with the diploma programs? Awesome. Let's talk about those, because I'm really, really excited about those, because we have worked really closely with Southeast faculty to align credit for all of the classes in those programs. So what's here is all of the classes that are part of the CIT application development, Associate of Applied Science, I think, according to the 25-26 catalog. Look familiar, Christina, hopefully. And what those courses come into for credit at UNO, okay? Now, you might look at that and say, okay, but how long is it going to take me to graduate, and what does that look like? Well, that's in your folder. So in your folder, you should see and for those online, I'm happy to share digital copies of this as well. So over here, let's say you were doing that application development pathway and you wanted to come into the Bachelor's of Computer Science. Here's an example of what a sample 2-year plan at UNO would look like. It does have you taking a couple classes in the summers to get done in 2 years, so that you're also not taking like 27 credit hours in any given academic semester. But this is kind of a sample of what that would look like. Now, if you want to do this degree program fully online, we would need to work with you to kind of make sure that those courses are offered online in the semester you plan to take them. But that's what our advising team is really experts at, right? They can help you customize. If you come in and you're not ready for Calc 1 when you transfer, we can work with you on that and customize the plan. It may change kind of the order in which you take classes and kind of what you would need to do in the summers. If you come in already having Calc 1, either credit from high school or you've taken it here, or those kinds of things, then that will accelerate the degree plan and you might not need some of those summer classes, right? Because we can do more of them during the academic year, right? But this is kind of an example of what that would look like. We can get you done in 2 years in that if you do the AAS and application development, right? We can get you done in 2 years in the computer science pathway. Also a great option for the BS in artificial intelligence. We just haven't built the guided pathway agreement with Southeast yet because that program is so new, but that's coming this year, right? If you're in the cybersecurity focus here, it looks pretty similar. So in the cybersecurity focus, went all the way back to the beginning. So same kind of deal, right? Here's all the courses that you would take here and how they come over on our end. But again, the spreadsheet that you care about is that 2-year plan. And you've got a copy of that in your folders as well. Your copy looks a little bit different than this one because after I printed them, I realized, hey, I could move a couple classes around and it would actually make that first semester instead of 17 credits, 14 credits. And then it makes this last semester 15 credits instead of 12. But what I moved around is a MAVED course, which is the name for general education, right? So this one, you notice that you don't have as many summer classes to take, right? Again, this is built assuming that you come in ready to take Calc 1 when you get to UNO. But if you've already done that before you get there, then that shifts things around and you probably wouldn't even need to take that first summer class, right? Which opens it up even more for ability to do other things like intern or go home or things like that, okay? Our summer classes are almost exclusively online, right? So if you are doing an internship somewhere working full-time, you can still do summer classwork at UNO, right? The other thing that I will just put out there, right? Let's say you ultimately transfer to UNL, but you want to pick up a couple summer classes that they're not offering. All of our classes are closely aligned with UNL's credits as well. So you could pick up a summer class at UNO, reverse transfer it over to UNL, and count it towards a degree in computer science there, right? So the NU system has worked. I apparently just got my step goal. The NU system has worked really hard to make sure the credits are transferable within the programs. Okay. So that is essentially the end of the spiel. The last slide simply says questions. So, oh no, I lied. There's more. Wait, there's more. So at UNO, we have a full suite of academic advisors that are specialized in these degree programs. In your folders, you see a card for Alexis Sherman, who is our Assistant Dean for Student Success, and she is awesome. So if you have questions about any of this, you can email me or you can email Alexis and she can connect you with the advising team. Omaha's a great place to be, right? Lots of opportunities for students. We got lots of student organizations. For example, in cybersecurity, our Nullify student organization is really active. They run a Capture the Flag contest for high school students every year. And they do a lot of ongoing professional development with local industry speakers. And that's just one. We have a really engaged esports team that has space in our building, if that is something that's of interest to you as well. And we also provide a computer science learning center with specialized tutoring support that is no cost to you as a student, available both in person and online. And it's staffed by students for students. So if you're looking for a job as well, right, that's a great option. Okay. Some things that we're doing, I already alluded to a few of these things about careers and career readiness. So we have a really engaged career services office at UNO. They are fabulous in supporting mock interviews, resume reviews, all of that great stuff. The current director of that is Levi Teal. Levi actually comes to us from the technology sector, right? So before she came to UNO working in this space, she worked for AIM, right? Which is a big technology education provider in the state. We have 2 different career fairs that are dedicated to IT careers, one in the fall, one in the spring. So we just had our September fair a couple weeks ago, looking for students looking for internships and jobs. We'll do another one in January. And then there are other campus-wide career fairs that we run as well that are all majors. And then the other thing that we're really excited about is integrating this career preparation into degree programs. So we have a first-year experience course that's called College and Career Success that students get out there, and they learn about things like time management and all of that stuff that you've probably done in your first year seminar course here. But we also send them out on 3 job shadows during the fall semester to do a half day learning about careers. So that student that went to Aperture and said, oh my gosh, user experience design is the coolest job in the world, she was in that first year seminar. And our goal is to have students discover their passion for like specific careers within technology early so they can customize their plans of study and begin building their professional network to be successful, right? As opposed to waiting until you're a senior and then going, I should start applying for a job, right? Which does happen from time to time. And then the other thing that I'm really excited to pilot this year in partnership with the Nebraska Tech Collaborative, which is an arm of the Exarban Foundation. The Nebraska Tech Collaborative exists to build the pipeline of technology professionals in the state of Nebraska. We got contacted by the CEO of Buildertrend. They're a specialty software provider for the building trades. And they were a startup company founded in Omaha. So their CEO came to us with the executive director from the Nebraska Tech Collaborative, who happens to be a UNO alumni from Management Information Systems. And they said, we want to do something with your students. And so what we're doing this fall is running a 3-credit tech career seminar course where every week a C-suite executive, a CIO, CTO, CEO, or Chief Information Security Officer comes in and talks to students in this class about what their organization's all about, what kind of jobs they're hiring for, and what advice they have about like getting an internship. And then on Thursday, a panel of recent alumni come in and talk to the students about their experiences and give them advice. So these are folks that have graduated a year ago, maybe 2 years ago. To the extent we can, they're UNO alum, but sometimes we'll, talk to UNL alum or Iowa State alum as well, right? But most of them have been UNO alum, and it has been so much fun. We had the first week Buildertrend came in, the second week we had Mutual of Omaha, and the students got to hang out with the CIO of Mutual of Omaha. Last week, FNBO's CIO and a panel of recent alumni were here. This week it's Don't Panic Labs. Next week is Kiewit, right? And so this is like 10 weeks of the 15-week semester. Students are getting a lot of one-on-one attention, right, by a lot of folks. In the other weeks, we're doing things like one-on-one resume reviews, one-on-one mock interviews. And again, it's an opportunity to connect with an industry pro. End of the semester, we're doing a mentor matching, right? So students who want to mentor after the semester is over from an industry professional and industry professionals who want to volunteer, we're going to make those mentoring matches so that you can continue that conversation into the future, right? So we are really excited to see how this changes how our students are thinking about getting those jobs and getting ready for them, right? And being successful on that job hunt. I've already seen like an evolution of resumes, right, over the course, because they turn in their resume multiple times as they're evolving it. It's been really fun. Okay, now questions, right? So we've got lots of time for Q&A. The link at the top is the transfer admission portal. So if you're interested and you go to the admissions website at UNO and click on transfer admission, there's details about what you need and kind of the timeline for that. Jonathan Acosta is our transfer advisor in the admissions office. He's fabulous. I'm happy to make an introduction for you if you'd like. You can find more information about our degree programs in the College of Information Science and Technology on that URL, ist.unoма.edu. We obviously have lots of other majors too at UNO. If you're interested in those things, I can point you in that direction. So I'll stop. What are you wondering? Yes, sir.
I would like an introduction to the guy you mentioned.
Okay. So send me an email here and I'll forward that on for you.
Okay.
Okay.
And can you go back to the Saturnatrix slide?
Okay. Maybe. What else?
Ooh.
Oh, let's see if other folks have questions and then we'll come back to that one in a little bit, okay? Well, we're
Okay.
figuring the technology part out. Other questions?
If a student is here at SCC taking part-time classes here, trying to finish up, do you want to see the student early on to make sure that you can take classes over there at UNO and it can smooth?
The sooner that you reach out to us and engage in that conversation with our advising staff, the better, right? If you're thinking, oh, I'm not going to transfer for a year, that's fine, right? Our advising staff is here to help and to collaborate with the advising staff at SCC to help you make sure that the classes that you're taking to complete your requirements here really are going to do like double duty for you as best as possible, right? We do have students that transfer having not had those conversations before, and we do our best to kind of make it work and maximize that transfer in credit. But the sooner you have that conversation, the better it is for everybody, right? And we think of students that are prospective transfer students as like they're part of the UNO family. We do not mind at all. We've built really close relationships with MCC, where we actually have our advisors on their campus on a regular basis as well. So think of, if you're interested in UNO, we're interested in you, to come have a conversation with us. And if it means you're going to maybe take a class or two more here before you transfer, hey, that's fine too, right? It's all one big system. And that's how we think of it.
Is it okay to go part-time at UNO?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So just to give you a sense for our student body, of those 1,200 undergraduate students, I would say at least a third of them are part-time students, right? We have a lot of part-time students, basically because of where we are, right? We are in the metropolitan campus environment, and we have a lot of working professionals or folks that have other constraints, like they have kids at home and they're doing that, and they're just doing their degree part-time. Our advising team is excellent at helping you plan that as well. If that is your situation, just have that conversation and let the advisors know, and they will help sequence things to make it work for you. Some semesters you might be able to go full-time, some semesters maybe not. We're pretty used to dealing with those kinds of things. Yeah.
So could somebody graduate from an associate's here, whether it's cybersecurity or app development, go into the workforce and come back and finish a bachelor's like 3 years later?
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure. And if you did that, and your company has a tuition reimbursement program, then your company might pay for that bachelor's degree, right? And so we know that a lot of our companies in Omaha do that. Union Pacific is a good example. So if they hire someone who doesn't have their bachelor's yet, we actually have an agreement with them called Career Connect, Career something. And it actually, they have a tuition payment program for UNO, so the employee doesn't pay out of pocket for that. But it is funded by the employer. So that is a good option for a lot of folks. So there's no expiration date on your credits from Southeast.
Is that program still around that you said, like the NSA or like?
Scholarship for Service?
Yeah.
Yeah, so Scholarship for Service is an application. So our faculty have submitted an application to renew that, and we're waiting to hear back from NSF. So there's no guarantee that it's going to be funded next year, but it's jointly funded by the National Science Foundation and the National Security Administration. And so it's a competitive grant program. Now, we've had it for a lot of years, which helps us like increase the chances that it will be renewed, but it can't guarantee it. But yeah, stay tuned. If you want more information about that, just reach out and I can connect you with the faculty that are running it.
There's specific GPA, like transfer from here to.
That's a great question. So our transfer GPA requirements, let me pull that up.
Scholarship tax wow.
Yeah, so this is our the College of ISIT's admissions requirements. So we are looking for at least a 2.5 transfer GPA to get into the college. Now, UNO, you can transfer in with a 2.0, but you wouldn't be admitted directly to one of our degree programs in this college. Typically, what happens there is you get admitted into the Bachelor of Multidisciplinary Studies until you have a UNO GPA that's high enough, and then you transfer into the college. So, but to be admitted directly into one of those degree programs that we talked about, we're looking for a 2.5.
Okay, if I'm in semester 1 here, can I transfer to UNO bachelor degree, or stay? I have to complete the associate degree first.
We take transfer students of all kinds. So a lot of our transfer students may have 1 semester of credits. They may have a year. Some of them will come in with an associate's degree completed or multiple associate's degrees completed. It really, your situation, it depends, right? So we don't require that you have an associate's to transfer into the programs. Now, your community college faculty really would like to see you graduate with those programs as well. So one of the things that we're working on is reverse transfer agreements. So we've got this in place at MCC. I don't know where our status of the university conversation with Southeast is, but what a reverse transfer does is it allows you to transfer early, take additional classes at UNO and convert them retroactively back for the same credit at the community college. And then you ultimately earn that associate's degree down the road too. So those kind of agreements can be kind of a win-win too if you're looking to transfer early. So I don't believe UNO has a reverse transfer agreement in place yet with Southeast, but I know that we've been working on them as a campus with other community colleges. So, but yeah, you can transfer in at any point. Doesn't matter from that perspective, which is also why having that conversation with our advising team can be really helpful as soon as you're thinking about that you want to do this down the road. Our advisors are also great in helping you plan if, say, time to completion is your most highest priority, right? They will help you figure out what do you need to take at the community college and what should you take with us and when should you do it to get graduated as fast as possible. If, however, your goal is lowest cost, right? That the degree is as cost effective as possible, then we might suggest a different set of courses at the community college versus at UNO. So our advising team in IS&T has worked really hard to figure out like what are some degree maps and like if you're going to transfer early or you wait until your associate's done, like what makes the most sense depending on what your goals are. Okay. And so that's why having those conversations is really important. Yes, sir.
What if you wanted to take every single course possible in CIST?
You would be here a long time. So
But not like doing that.
we do have a lot of students who will do a double major in these programs, or they'll major in one and minor in another. We also offer for students who are so inclined to do what's called the fast track program, where you can get your undergraduate degree and begin taking master's level courses and double count them to both the bachelor's and the master's. And so by the time that you start your master's, you're already one semester ahead or more. Right. So there are lots of options if you're interested in continuing your studies or study different, like multiple fields. Well, we are happy to work with you on that as well. We also want you to move on and have your career too. So there's a balance sometimes with when we have those conversations, like being a lifetime student. Well, you could do that. It's called going and getting a PhD, and then you become a professor, and then you're always in school. And it's a great career. So
I would not mind doing that for CIST. And you will know.
then you had asked the question about this matrix slide.
Like, you said that they are basically like hired by the companies.
Yeah.
So have you heard of Battletech?
I have not.
It's war combat for robots.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
These guys are kind of like the paid mercenaries that do the dirty work for the people in the Battletech world. That's what I connected Matrix to.
Yeah, and so what I would recommend if you're interested in more information about Matrix, I'm happy to make a connection between you and the director of that program, who's also the director of our School of Interdisciplinary Informatics, which houses the cybersecurity degree program. So he's a professor of cybersecurity. So I'd be happy to make that connection if you want to chat more about it.
Okay.
Awesome.
And then with that, like, is that a all year round deal? With it being like, it's your guys' companies or partners you have, so do you monitor their systems all year round, or is it just like semester based?
The hope is that these are longer term contracts. So think of the kinds of companies that have cybersecurity needs, but they don't have the budget to run their own cybersecurity operations team. Those are the companies. So think small businesses or medium-sized companies, right? They're the ones that are contracting with our Matrix group to do this work. And summers aren't going to be time off, right? They have cybersecurity needs 24/7. And so we are working on securing all of those partnerships currently. And so that Dr. Hale, who directs this center, probably once a week, he's out at least 2 different companies, like building MOUs and trying to get that onboarded.
Are you looking for like full-time employees and internships for this program?
So we do this, there is a full-time staff member who works in that little office back here. So Josh McShannon is back there. He actually came from industry. He was a cybersecurity expert. So he is the staff engineer who's actually working with all the interns and supervising them. The interns, it depends on the academic semester, right? So they're looking, I think, initially to hire 10 hours a week during the fall and spring. But then in the summer, if you're not taking classes, want to work more, and their project needs are such that they have additional hours they're looking to fill, there are opportunities to do those things more full time. But because this is also part of the college, right, we're sensitive to the fact that if you're a student, you're working on your classwork, working 40 hours a week and then trying to take a full class load might not be the most conducive to your long-term goals. So we're going to help kind of on that advising conversation as well. But the initial hiring, they're looking for 10 hours a week during fall and spring for students. And then depending on needs and how many staff they hire, right, there may be opportunities to go with that. Yeah. Yes, sir.
To kind of close off our conversation and time here, what are your top choices for antivirus software and why?
So yeah, that's an interesting question. So have one that's one of the professional companies like Norton or McAfee or those things. At UNO, right? Our organization within the NU system picks the cybersecurity tools that we have to use, like the antivirus tools and things like that. So in many companies, right, you don't get a choice, right? It's set by the corporate-wide policy. What you want to do is make sure that you have something that is getting regular updates and is not fly-by-night, right? Because there's so much evolution happening in the cybersecurity space and the threats that if you have a tool that gets an update once every 6 months, it's going to be vulnerable really fast. So just make sure that whatever antivirus tool you're using, it is something that is getting patched regularly, like on a monthly basis or more frequently than that. So I don't know if SCC has kind of a standardized platform for that. I would suspect so, because mitigating cybersecurity risk is a big deal for everybody, right? So we actually go through annual cybersecurity training at UNO, every student and faculty member, to make sure that we're not opening ourselves up to unnecessarily opening ourselves up to attacks. So I don't have a particular antivirus that I like more than others, except for the ones that don't get updates, I wouldn't use them. Okay. So awesome. If you have other questions or you want to connect with me one-on-one and get some of those introductions, I'm happy to do that right now with you. Or I'm always happy to get an email from you and then follow up afterwards. So thanks for the time today. Were there any questions online? Okay, good. Thanks for hanging out.
Nope, I'm not seeing any online questions, so.
Okay. Thank you.
So could you tell me a little bit more about yourself?
Myself. So I am from Nebraska originally. I went to Auburn High School. I'm pointing towards the direction where I think Auburn is in this building. So I graduated and then went to Northwest Missouri State for my undergrad in computer science. And then after that, I did a couple internships at Motorola doing chip design work out in Arizona. And then I went to Iowa State